Welcome back to DIY Willie on this fine afternoon. Pretty warm outside today. I think it's reaching about 90, 80 something, 84, 85, 90, something like that. I'm not quite coast, but I'm not quite inland either. So I kind of fall in the middle. It's hot. It's hot here. And you can see the trees blowing. There is a bit of a breeze, but it's a warm breeze, kind of like a Santa Ana, they call it. It's hot. So I still got to get work done. I haven't been filming in a while. I haven't been working on the projects. I've been working on so many other little things, but I got some parts in today that we can hopefully finish the rear part of the RZR, so we can have it as a rolling chassis again, and I'll be able to get it out of the garage and sweep the floor underneath it, clean it up, and just clean up the whole general area. So let's take a look at what I got in the mail that's going to make this video possible. One of the parts that I needed was the upper shock mounts, and I ordered some up, and this came from Rough Stuff, and they're together. It's actually two, but they're together. All I got to do is cut them with the saw and separate them. But yeah, these are the upper shock mounts. There, I got it out of the bag. These are the upper shock mounts that I'm going to use. They're designed for a 1 3/4 to 3 inch tube. I'm going to make them work with my 1.5 inch tube, but I just have to cut them loose right there on those tabs, and I'll have two individual ones. That's going to help me out a lot, tremendously, because I was having trouble fabricating the upper mounts. I had some pieces made. You know, I didn't really like the thickness. I wanted something a little thicker. It was going to be a lot of welding. It wasn't going to look as nice. I was actually going to make one out of this 3/16 flat bar to make one side stronger and remove the shear factor by having one other side made of this sheet metal. And it was going to be put here and then welded, a whole lot of welding. So by having these, it's going to eliminate some of the guesswork, and it'll look better too. I mean, these are nice. They don't quite fit here. This is a little bit of a gap here, so I may cut it down the middle, bolt them in where I want them, and then re-weld the middle once I have the sides welded. So I know exactly the thickness. It might be 3/16 too wide, maybe a little bit less. But I could use a spacer. But if I cut it here, when we get there, we'll check that out when we get there. We'll make that decision. But also what I needed was longer bolts. If you remember me talking in the other video that the original bolts for the RZR were too short on the bottom. The threads don't come out. And I know I'm supposed to have, and I like to have, at least 2 to 3 threads coming through the nut, or the nut. So these bolts on the bottom are not long enough, and it's due because of the thickness of the material I use, the 3/16. So I needed longer bolts. I think these bolts, the original bolts, are 60 millimeter or 60 something millimeter, 64 or something like that, and I needed 70 millimeter, at least 70 millimeter. So these are those bolts. These are M12 1.5 by 70 millimeter. And they're metric bolt, obviously, and they should work just fine for the new mounts. Perfectly with the nut on there. I should stick out a little bit. Now I know these aren't flange bolts like the other ones, so I need to get some washers to put on here, and I don't have those yet, but I will get the washers. So don't start screaming in the comment section that these bolts need washers, because I don't have the washers yet. And when I do make this all permanent, there will be washers. But for now, for all the fit up and all the welding, this will work perfect. So I had a lot of stuff to do to get ready for this video. I still have the mini bike in its place. I got to get the mini bike out so I can walk around. Got to get my weld machine out so that I can get it out here to weld on the back here. I got to get Spike to quiet down over there so he's not interrupting the video, and get all this extra scrap metal off of here that is in my way and might fall on my bare toes. So at the end of this video, my hope is to have it a rolling chassis again, and we can roll it out of the garage and actually sweep and clean up where it's been sitting for the last couple months. There's been a lot of metal shavings where I've done grinding and cutting and everything else down there, and I just want to sweep and blow out the whole garage floor. And well, I need it to roll, and right now it can't. So yeah, with that said, let's get to it. Let's figure out what we got to do and get going. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shocks off, and I've got to cut down, notch, or round off this corner of the material. They need to be able to move, and right now they don't. So I'll trim that material down. I'll figure it out. We'll take them over to the saw and we'll cut it down, grind it, clean it all up. Then we can bring it over and mount it back up. And then we can build these parts that I was talking about that come up here to kind of triangulate it, make it stronger. And then we'll start the top. But let's get this out of the way first on both sides. And yeah, then we'll get going. So this is what I came up with. This notch here. And turn the radius right there. I've already tried it on the shock before I ground it, and it gives the shock enough room to travel like that. So this should help a lot. If I need more, I can do it later after I add the pieces going forward. I still need to do it to the driver's side parts, but yeah, I just want to show you what I'm doing. The cuts I made, I lined up the holes and clamped them together and cut them. So I'm going to do the same to here, but I'll spare you the video to watching it, and I'll just do it. And then I'm going to use this flat bar over here as the part that goes forward with the spacer. Man, is it warm out here. I'm sweating like crazy. It's hard fabricating this stuff in this heat, this weather that we're having right now, but hey man, I got to get it done. I can't wait till winter, right? I need to get this done. So yeah, let me show you what I did. So I showed you that I cut these notches, or these, I'll just call them notches. I cut this part out so that the shock has travel forward. And then I needed a way to triangulate it. So I took this flat bar, basically this thin flat bar, because it was easier to bend, make the bends that I needed. You can see right there, there's some pretty different bends for each piece. I tacked the spacer in. The bolt is hot, but it goes in and out, no problem. These bolts are loose, they're good. So yeah, I call that a win. Now I was thinking about putting a plate in here after I weld it all out 100%. I was thinking about putting a plate in here to hold spacing, but honestly that's not needed because the shock here is going to hold the spacing, so it's okay if it's a little open. Remember, I'm going to use spacers down here on the bottom to fill in the void, and I think that'll work perfect. I don't need this. I thought about a whole plate right here just tacked in and welded to keep that shape, but honestly I don't think it's necessary. I think it'll be fine just like that. Once it's welded 100%, it will be a strong shock mount triangulating those 3 bolts positioned to hold onto the arm and be good for the shock. Yeah, I think that's going to work out really well. So now I need to go do it on the other side, recreate everything I just did. That actually took quite a while. I don't have the exact time it took, but it was probably a good couple hours to get all those bends right, get the holes drilled, and you know, get it figured out and tacked in. So now I'm gonna go do it on the other side. I got to drill the holes in the arm and to 12 millimeter. And then fit up the brackets and measure out and measure. Cut, drill. Sweat, and all this heat that's out here right now, Southern California. But I really like what I've got. And we're going to move on to the other side. I'll knock it out, and I'll get back with you guys once I get that done. It's so hot and so kind of difficult to work out here that I just want to get the work done and then show you what I did. And I'm not going to show too much of how I got there. But by looking at it, you'll see exactly what I did and what I wanted, what was in my head. All right. So yeah, let me get to the other side, and we'll get back with you. Check it out. I got both sides all fit up. There's the driver's side. There's the passenger side. The bolts are nice and loose. This one's a little tight. I'll probably have to clean out these holes a little bit in here to get it to slip through there. This one, however, same thing. but the bolt is really nice. Now, of course, they still need to be welded out 100%. And let me know in the comments if you think I should put something in here to square this up and make it stronger, make it like an I-beam or something, you know. Let me know in the comments if I should put something in there. I can put a small 1-inch piece in here and weld it up 100%, and it would really stiffen it up. But I don't think it's necessary. But put in the comments down below if you think I should put it in there. I'll listen to you guys, whatever you want me to do. And, well, I'm going to move on to the top. I'm going to put the shocks back in, try to position them. I'll lift the whole thing up so I can put the eye of the shock where I want it, and then we'll come up with the mounts right here on the top. So yeah, let me get the shocks back in place. We'll figure out the top mount. Here we go. It looks pretty good. I decided on putting the shocks in this spot location. However, they are nearly vertical. I don't like that so much, but I think this is going to work best with the room of the engine. I had another option where I was going to put the shock back here and mount it to this tube here, and then reinforce this tube, and it would have put more of an angle on the shock. May have kept the spring rates better. Right now it's a little stiff when you sit in it, but honestly I think this will work too, with the extra weight of the bigger engine and the metal body, the steel body from the Bug. The extra spring rate or spring pressure may help out, you know. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna try to fit the engine right now and see how much better it fits, how much closer it got to the transmission to get that belt alignment. But for now, there's our shock mounts. I got my zip tie nuts on there because I miscounted how many nuts I was going to need. So to keep the bolts from falling out, I put zip ties like that. That holds them in. They're all good right now. Looks good from the back. The shock mounts on the driver's side, obviously they're not fully welded yet, but in fact nothing is fully welded yet, but we're gonna get to that. Once we have everything kind of where we want it, then we'll fully weld everything. I got some more tubing I want to put in. If you remember, I discussed putting a tube here down to there, and we probably still will do that. That was going to be where the shock mount was and give support to that part, but we probably still will do that to give this frame some support on both sides. And then right at this joint here, I want to run a tube down to here, have it come up off this frame end right here, come up and meet up here. Now that's going to be in the way a little bit of the belt, but that's all right. I'd rather have the strength and to have to I'd rather have the strength and fight with the belt to get off than not have the strength and have a problem somewhere else structurally. So yeah, it looks pretty good. My wire speed was a little low right here. I was having some trouble. I fixed it for the other side, but I'll have it all dialed in when we do the final weld out. But it looks good, solid. I'm gonna go ahead and roll it out now that I can and clean up underneath it because it is a mess underneath it, and get ready to put the engine in there, and we'll size up the engine and we'll be good. But I think I'll probably end this video right here. That was a lot of work. I may not have filmed it too much, but that was a lot of work making all those parts, and it worked out perfectly. So I guess that's it for right now. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Come back for more. Check out the playlist for this RZR and my mini bikes and my other cars. I will be doing a lot more work on this, as you know. And well, that was a lot of work, and it's hot outside. I'm tired. I want to go get cleaned up and go in where the AC is. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye. Engine is in. Of course, it's not exactly where it needs to be, but it's near perfect. We got room in the front, the throttle body, with the bar back in place. We've got space with the clutch, the shock. It still needs to come up a little bit, and I'll show you why that in a minute. And it probably needs to go a little bit more forward. But check out here. We look good. Now we could probably make a mount from here to the engine to make the transmission and the engine one. I think that would be good. That's the way the original one was. I'll be able to use the front mount from the engine off these bolts to this bar here. As I said, it's not exactly where it needs to be right now because it needs to come up some more. You need to be able to turn the unit or turn the razor for the drive shaft to turn it. Right now it would hit that, so I had to push the engine a little bit too far that way. But the clutches are now going to work, and if you take center to center on here, it's about 11 inches. We need, or excuse me, it's about 10 inches. We need a 10 and a half. So we're still going to go forward a little bit back here and up to make it miss the joint. I can take this down too. I don't have to have it this high. I can lower it. I got lots of room to lower it. So we'll see. We can see once we get the engine actually starting to find its place. If we can keep that 10 and a half dimension right here for the belt, oh man, that's going to save us a whole world of trouble. We may not be able to use the belt cover that comes with it because the water thermostat housing is right here, I see, and it's going to get in the way. Maybe not. Maybe once we lift it up a little bit. I mean, we have lots more we can do. But yeah, it's sitting in a pretty level right now. It looks really good. Man, it looks really good. I have lots of room to move all over. I'm really excited about how it looks.